Simply wow. That's all I have to say, fellas, is I think we're all in agreement here. Dracula, you, me, the whole GMSONIC crew, things are looking up, aren't they?
They're looking glorious. I didn't think that Bitcoin would already be up here, right?
I didn't think so either, dude. I had no idea that Bitcoin would be doing so damn good. I didn't know we'd be at 89,000, 99,000, 100 million thousand or what at this point.
Look, you got the apes out,
I'm sorry, what are you talking about?
the ape dancing down there.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Drake. I think you might be seeing things. I think you're just so euphoric because we're at what is the chart at now, Dracula? We're winning nonstop now. I think is really what it comes down to, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
has blessed us. Smiminim, is his name Smiminim? Simonim is blessed us with another.
It truly has. Yeah, I mean, I don't even have new meme lines drawn yet because we're just blasting out here, right?
Yeah, dude. Like they've just. Well, I mean, your meme line here is actually pretty good, dude. It broke through that one and it's just never stopped. Thank God you didn't draw another one above that.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't draw one like right here or something, right?
Yeah, you look like a total fool, like all the other traders on.
But you know what I like to see is, of course, the Ichi is looking great on the Bitcoin Weekly, but this little green guy right here, like I said, the alpha trend is a lagging indicator, so it's not really wise to like make immediate moves. But when this starts coming out, that means like we are definitely in a trend. So this is just getting started, right? And I think that truly this might be the beginning. I still thought we'd probably have a slower crawl up through the end of the year. I thought we were probably going to still, especially if you look at the weekly, like here, like, I mean, look at this. Since February, Bitcoin has basically been crabbing.
Yeah, well, guess what, old man? This ain't your daddy's Bitcoin, okay? Zoomers are in charge. Trump is in charge. We're pushing this thing straight to $100 million. No stops along the way. I hope you're in, because there's not going to be any entry points, okay?
Yep. Yeah, it's one of those situations where we might be past our entry. You might just have to get in, right?
Yeah. Oh, look what Yankee Ruin says. Yankee Ruin, one of our most trusted financial advisors here on the show. ETF volume is higher today than it was by this point yesterday. If they buying things, they could get pumpy later when the start settlements.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah.
All right, look, I'm gonna do a little changing here for. Wait, did it not work? Oh wait, it's this one.
Oh yeah, look at that. Now we're up high.
Yeah, that way we could do this stuff that doesn't overwrite your face.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. No, like I said, I thought we were just going to kind of keep crabbing probably through the end of the year. It's November, we're getting into like almost mid-November territory. We've talked about Q4 before, where sometimes it can be kind of like a slower trading area. Usually it's like slower, and then like, January, everything rips again. So yeah, I love to see this right now. I mean, this is, like I said, it's exceeded my expectations. Election night, I was gone last week, but I think I said this on the spaces. Election night was truly wild to see, like, as like electoral votes were being decided, I would like get dinged new Bitcoin all-time high. So it truly was like the market was starting to, it's funny. It was almost like gamified or something. It's like the poly market effect. It was like, all right, Trump has more electoral votes. Bitcoin just went up another, notch or whatever. So yeah, it's great all around. I don't know if this can sustain all the way until the handoff begins, but starting to feel like it might. I don't know.
Let's pull back on the chart. Let's see, has this ever happened before? Has there ever been a 3-month long pump?
Oh, I would say so.
It's not out of the cards, or it's not out of the question, is it? Or is it? Or is it, Familio? Fallout Zone, Mendoza C, you tell me. Is it out of the question? Is it up only from here on out for the next 3 months or so? Or
I'm looking at like when Bitcoin finally bottomed in the bear market. I mean, if you look at the chart this way,
I guess October,
we've pretty much been just about up only since,
Yeah, it's true. There really hasn't been any really great entries, has
But I want to go back to.
Now that's what we're looking
Here's
for.
what I want to look at right here. The last bull run. Look at this shit.
That's what I like to see, dude.
I mean, from $9,000 to $60,000.
As a guy who doesn't own a single Bitcoin, a single Satoshi, this is what I want to see.
Yeah. So this is what I'm looking for. This guy right here. Look at that.
We got to repeat that, fellas.
Yeah. So let's go back to modern. So this was what? Okay, let's say October 2020. Okay, fine.
Mm-hmm.
All the way March 21. So that was a solid, what, like 7 months of just pure, like, up only chaos. So if you want to look here, this looks like a similar pop off here at the very beginning, right?
We
were like
fat candles, dude.
You know, like if you zoom out the same way, it's like kind of crabby, kind of whatever, and then boom, fat candles. So I'm not saying for sure, like, hey, you know, the bull run has started. I think there still could be a little bit of time, but
yeah, I mean, I personally think Bitcoin is a worthless asset. It's going to go down to negative. What is it now? Negative 1,000. So it's got like $88,000 to go. So, you know, but enjoy it while it lasts, boys.
And I mean, we got so many. I mean, you know, of course, it was the last halving, the election, the ETF. You know, we had all these things that were going to take a little time to catch up. But something they just announced was they're planning on making a Bitcoin reserve. So on top of all this other stuff, the US is saying, you know, like, we'll have to see what happens if it actually happens or not. But the US is saying they want to make a strategic Bitcoin reserve where they're going to buy a certain amount of Bitcoin every year. So that's even more Bitcoin just like taken off the market.
Yeah.
I think that's
2 million over 5 years. So you have the chance to front run the US government.
Yeah, you can front run the government. And I think that there's probably someone in Germany right now in charge of that treasury that has already been shipped off to like a special, you know, Guantanamo Bay or something. They put a black sheet over his head in the night and took him out of there.
German Guantanamo Bay.
For the guy dumping all the Bitcoin in Germany.
I think they closed all of those in maybe 1945.
Yeah, I'd say that guy's in trouble.
Fallout says
the U.S. taxpayers will pump our bags. That's the hope, right? That's the ultimate. Isn't that the dream?
Yeah.
The dream was that we get retail back in the game, right? But what could actually be better than every single American taxpayer pumping our bags?
Exactly. I would love to see a system in place where an American can apply to the U.S. government and get their Bitcoin sent to them that they bought with their tax money, you know, in proportion to how much taxes they paid. It gets mailed to them in 7-8 months after they put in their request. We get to dump on nation states now.
Yeah, I love that idea. Yeah, like someone will be like, "Did you see the U.S. government just full stack Hitler on the 4-hour?"
Yeah. Well, another interesting part of Trump's policy, I read this yesterday, is that well, at least his proposed policy is that he said that he's not going to sell any of the stuff that they seized. So, you know, that used to be a fear, is like, you know, they'd be like, the FBI is going to dump all their freaking Silk Road Bitcoins. Not going to happen anymore, dude. Patriots are in charge. We don't do that anymore. Okay. We only buy.
Yeah.
And look, I just want to say this. If buying and holding is good enough for the president-elect of these United States, why is it not good enough for you? Guy out there watching this, you fucking G. Why you got to sell, huh?
Yeah,
what are you so scared of? Being rich?
Terrified of being rich.
You scared of having a tower named after you in downtown New York City? Whatever. Whatever. I'm not trying to save any of you.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of a interesting tidbit that hadn't been talked about a lot either. Was similar to, you know, Mount Gox FUD, which thankfully we're finally, after years and years, kind of done with that. That seized Silk Road Bitcoin would always come up every once in a while. Like, they're gonna sell it. They've moved it. They've moved wallets. They've done this. They're about to dump it all. So I thought that was a huge. I can't remember how many Bitcoin it is, but it's a lot. I mean, it's billions of dollars worth.
Imagine being like the agent in charge of like that account, you know, like that you're your job is to like manage the Bitcoin that you've seized, like the evidence or whatever. Like how much money they must have made when they realized like I don't even have to sell this shit. Like I could just move it to a different wallet and I would tank the price by like 5%. And so I could just buy and sell immediately. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I gotta say, it didn't really instill confidence when there was that one time that, you know, they have sold some here and there.
Mhm.
And the last time they sold, they did a Coinbase market sell. So people were like, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing? So yeah, I don't think that made people very confident in like, oh man, if they're gonna sell this, they're gonna like dump on us. But after that last sell, I don't think there's really been anything else. And now they're saying they're not gonna sell it.
Yeah.
So great news.
So the golden bull run is here. It's going to be up only forever. But is it up only just for Bitcoin, or when is this going to? Is this going to trickle down to us, or is this Bitcoin only? Bitcoin old heads only? Because look at this. What is this?
Well,
Let's switch this down a little bit.
Don't love this candle, of course. It's a this is the 1-day chart, classic Fantom volatility. But I think what we're seeing is the beginning of that move where, you know, this is how, at least this is how things used to work, right? Bitcoin has to clear all-time highs. Bitcoin kind of has to like, everyone has to kind of get it out of their system, right? Like, okay, Bitcoin's got a new all-time high. Now we're staying in the high 70s, lower 80s instead of the 60s and the 50s. And once people get comfortable with that, then they go, all right, it's time to go hunting for like some ROI. It's time to go hunting for some X's, right? So I think this is all right on schedule. You know, everybody had some euphoria. You know, you can look at the Fantom chart here, which, you know, Fantom's always crazy to look at because for an alt, like for an alt L1 especially, I don't think there's a token more volatile. Fantom.
We have to do an investigative report on this someday because it is fucking absurd. Pardon my language, pardon my French, but it is crazy, dude. If you zoom in on this chart, it's psychotic. It's psychotic, these movements. Like, look at the last time we hit $1 on Fantom. Did it not immediately nuke to like 30 cents in like a month for some reason?
That was when we
Look, I'm not trying to point any fingers here. I'm not trying to say this is anyone's fault. I'm not trying to instill division in this great Fantom nation. But is this the Saudis, dude? What's going on, bro?
Yeah,
what is happening?
I think the last sell-off, it's a mixture, right? We went parabolic for like a full month, but part of that run-up was that Sonic was supposed to launch in the spring. So I think it was a mix. You know, the whole market was going up. We were due like a pullback, but also it was kind of like I feel like you had a lot of extra money coming in when they thought they were preparing for Sonic and the airdrop and everything else. And then when they pushed it back, a lot of people just kind of like got out, you know, because obviously at that point, a lot of these people were taking profit. I mean, they're like, hey, I'm all, you know, just had like some insane move. I mean, like, shit, let's see what we did here. Let's just start about right here, you know.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, 200% for a gas token in 1 month. I mean, that's madness. So I totally don't blame anybody if they bought down here getting ready for Sonic and it was, you know, tapping $1.20 that you were probably like, okay, I think I'm just going to take my profit and I'll come back when Sonic's closer.
So yeah, I can't be mad at him. I'm just jealous is really what it is. I'm just jealous.
Well, luckily you reloaded around here.
Yeah, I totally did.
Yeah, you did. You reloaded. You put it all on the line right around there.
I've just got massive Fantom positions just from every price level. You know, I just buy Fantom and I forget that I bought it on a different wallet or whatever. What I'm looking at here is, you know, so what you're saying here is euphoria going up leading into the prospective launch of Sonic. And now we have, you know, we got it pushed back once. It was supposed to be the beginning of spring and then it was fall. And now word around the water cooler is December. Has it been updated, Dracula? Or is that's the latest, right? It's December, fellas?
Yep, December. You know, and that's just coming from, you know, the horse's mouth that December has been tossed around in like in an official capacity. So I think that's when it's supposed to be happening. And I think, you know, looking at the chart here, you know, we're moving our way up. But obviously, like I said, when Bitcoin makes a new all-time high, you're going to have that initial euphoria. Then everybody puts their money back in Bitcoin. And, we're going to need to see how this over 80K kind of holds. I have a feeling that it's going to be like a new support area where, like I said, we're hopefully a new leg up where now we're going to be playing in upper 70s, lower 80s range as like the new sideways. And what that does is that allows, money to return to Ethereum, return to alts. I mean, really, Ethereum has obviously also been on a tear finally after all this time. But I pull up the
tear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's my portfolio, bro.
A tear for Ethereum, I guess. But I pull up the dominance chart because this is like how you have to put it into perspective. Basically, let's see how far back I can go. Okay. So this is around like last run, right? Do you see how right before last run, Bitcoin had 70% dominance of the whole market, right?
Oh, yeah.
So here is around where you enter Ethereum and alt territory, is when Bitcoin returns to about 50%, and then you can just watch it drop. I mean, Bitcoin at one point last run only having 40% dominance, like that's madness, right? That meant like that was when we were, if you look down here at Ethereum while I'm looking here, I mean, that was like the real madness, right? Like 21 going into 22. So that's what we're looking at right now, is we're having that big Bitcoin move up 60% dominance right now. So that's also where my theory kind of comes into play, is that everybody has slid into Bitcoin, understandably. I'm from the belief of I buy Bitcoin at any price. I don't care. I have a DCA that's bought Bitcoin every week for years. I will always do that. I don't care if it's at the top, at the bottom. I think that no matter what you do, you can't really lose. I mean, that's just like a long-term play though, right? So I think that you're going to have to see that though, is that, like I said, Bitcoin will start moving back down to settling like 50% market dominance range. And that's when Ethereum and the alts get to catch up. So I think that's why I think we still have some time before we're truly like in that alt season, pure euphoria, like madness range.
That makes sense. It also looks like this chart makes the Bitcoin dominance look like the S&P or something is only going up and to the right here from 23 onwards.
Yes.
End of 2022.
And that plays into the theory of a lot of people saying like, oh, this bull market's just going to be like a Bitcoin only rally. And I don't believe that. I think that it just makes sense that Bitcoin always leads the way. I mean, that's just how it works. It always has. There's never going to be a moment on this dominance chart where, oh, Ethereum moved first and now Bitcoin's going to move. It's just not going to happen ever. Mark that one down. So we have to see Bitcoin settle before we really start to pump.
I need to see it settle. I don't have a single Bitcoin. I told you this, Dracula. This is making me mad. It just makes me mad when I see Bitcoin go up.
You're gonna be bored a while then. But no, and like this is an interesting thing to look at here. If you, down here at the bottom, and I'm trying not to put the arrow on it because it brings the box down. But if you look at green and purple there at the bottom, I left those on the dominance chart because it's very interesting to see how far BNB and Solana have come. Each 3% of the market, respectively. I mean,
it is kind of crazy.
I mean, I get the Solana part, but nobody's talking about BNB. It's wild to me. I mean, 3% of the market is huge. And you got to think here, you're looking at 60% of the market for Bitcoin, 13%. So let's just say 75% plus let's just say 6%. We're rounding down. So like 81% of the entire market are these 4 tokens.
Kind of makes it seem even crazier, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, you have to take it into account. So that means only 19% of the money in the entire crypto market is getting spread around to, everything else. Now, I'm
99.001.
Yeah, like I'm 99% sure that Ethereum here, they count the L2s. So you do have to think that a lot of the big chains are also L2s. So that rules out some of that extra capital going to those from this, from looking at this. But still, like I said, 19-20% of the entire market is all that's left to float around to the other, the other alt L1s, the other projects. Ripple, Litecoin.
Yeah, the futures of finance are still so underrepresented on here, dude. There just isn't a lot of cash flowing around in us. It's all held up in Bitcoin, dude. It's all held up to prop up this insane price.
And that's what tells me that, we're still not in that retail, full bull yet, because.
So I don't care how your ADA bag is doing. That's nothing compared to what's coming.
Yeah, exactly. So I say, enjoy the chart still. I think we're in for some volatility. It's going to go up. It's going to go down, of course, but not a bad time to still load up on stuff you like. If you want to swing trade, probably not a bad time. Swing trade, but I think we're still, here's probably the last thing I'll say about this, real fast, is that what I imagine is going to happen is we still have to make it to actual presidency, actual January, before we truly see the bull market. Now that's just a theory.
We need a January 6th on the chart. You know what I'm saying? That's when we're going to see it happen. January 6th on the chart. You heard it here first, folks. I'm calling it right now. January 6th, new all-time high on the chart. I'm not going to say where or what token or what, but it's going to happen.
Or I have another idea. They move Fantom to Texas and everyone just goes to Texas and we take over the government or something, right? Out there.
Look, I'm just saying, if Andre is going to Texas, I'm going to Texas, dude, because he's like my cult leader. I need to follow him. I need to be in the compound, take the orders directly from him.
I think this is an interesting, I don't know where Fantom HQ technically is, but I don't think it's in the US, is it?
I have no idea. I thought it was in Dubai or some shit.
Yeah, I think everybody's kind of spread out, but maybe they do have headquarters.
I kind of think it was in the Bahamas or something.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of curious what these were the options in New York City, Texas, or Florida. New
York's a terrible choice.
It's also interesting because New York City, the entire state of Texas, or the entire state of Florida. Dude, he's gonna land in Orlando.
I mean, New York from a tax and whatever implication seems like a terrible idea. I understand Texas. It's kind of becoming a little tech hub. There's a lot going on there. Florida, actually a good choice. Being a Southerner, and you have also spent a good deal of time in Florida. There's lots of good tax reasons to go to Florida.
Yes,
but I get it. I get Texas at the same time. Just don't go to Austin or something, which is probably what you have to do.
That's where they're going to go, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, what are they going to go to? Dallas, Fort Worth? Dallas, Fort Worth is maybe even worse than Austin, in my opinion.
Take it to Houston.
Yeah, there we go. Houston, that's a good idea.
Real,
they should come to Memphis.
Yeah, now Memphis, hang out with Project Pat.
Yeah.
UCJ, North Memphis.
I think the Fantom Foundation is too scared. I don't think they could cut it in Memphis or Atlanta, dude.
No.
Even though it'd be good for them.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it is, Sarge. Not that you live there or anything, right?
Sarge, I am this close to doxing your address for dare even saying that. No, I mean, apparently everyone voted for Texas, so maybe that's the case. Would you move to Texas, dude? If the foundation's like, hey, Dracula, come down. We're going to give you a studio, dude.
Oh, we finally live our dream we finally become legit and have a studio, and no one can say that those losers don't have a studio anymore.
Yeah, we'll get Andre in the studio every day. He's our DeFi correspondent or tech correspondent. Andre.
Honestly, I like Texas. I mean, literally the only times I've passed through Texas a bunch of times. The only times I've actually just gone to Texas have been for crypto related things. Austin is a cool city, but it just feels I don't know. There's a lot of things that are a pain about it, but yeah, Texas does make sense. It would be interesting. Let's see. Colt says I vote Texas.
Well, Disco Chuck says Houston is the rectum of Texas.
That's why I said it. I know Houston's this great. They should go to Houston.
I thought Houston was cool. I thought there were cool rappers from Houston.
Yeah, Bun B's from there, right? I guess we're just basing all our decisions on the rappers from the city.
Yeah, well, How else am I supposed to do it? You know what? I think
Benny
Phantom
says
Foundation
Florida
should
for the
Chicago.
memes. I think that is true. The memes would be outstanding if Phantom Foundation was more like we're like Florida guys now. We're Florida men.
Florida Sonic. Good rappers come from shit places, though. Yeah. Good networks come from shit places too. Ishmael wants us to talk about the performance of the Sonic testnet. Dracula, have you been on the Sonic testnet?
I have, we had a little demo on here. So far, it's, swaps are instant. Everything's looking good speed wise. If you're referring to the arcade, I know they had some issues here and there with that, but that was more of like RPC kind of stuff, not necessarily like the network speed. But yeah, no, I mean, the testnet has been blazing and for a while. So I think I think the tech is ready, right? That's what I think.
I think it's ready.
Yeah.
I think I'm praying on it being completely released in time for December. You know what I'm saying?
Which I think we're on track, though. I really do.
If we're not, Andre Crony will have cost me life and limb.
Well, Boom Week is here, though.
Okay.
So I think we're on track.
So Ishmael, this is going to answer your question here.
Shout out to Ab.
Yeah, this is hot, dude.
It's got 10 more seconds. I was about to say I might have to stop this if it's like 2 minutes.
No, dude. It's the perfect length. So more than what, 10,000, 100,000, million, trillion TPS a second?
I'm not actually sure on like the complete like benchmarks. I don't know if someone's ran like a new like daily benchmark on it. I wonder if there's there's got to be an area, right, where there's probably like a newer benchmark test.
Yeah, I mean the last one I think they posted a blog about was like approximately 10,000.
Yeah, like here finality. Okay, so here's this is an outside blog, so take it with a grain of salt because I haven't had time to like read the entire thing. But this is from September, talking about how they did reach a transaction finality of 720 milliseconds, which is absolutely bonkers. Here's the thing that I would like to touch on, and I'm pretty sure I've heard Andre say this as well. TP is to me not the greatest measurement of the performance, because every single chain out there can claim any kind of TPS they want because it is probably possible in the right situation. Finality to me is the most important metric. Finality means that, the transactions are processed, right? That means they are processed, they're finished, they're on the scanner, it's done. So 720 milliseconds for finality is absolutely bonkers.
Quite laggy for a game of CSGO, but I suppose pretty good for a financial network.
Yes. So yeah, I don't have the absolute the latest TPS numbers. They were saying like 10,000 TPS a second. But to me that's truly, any other chain you will see claims, and they're always crazy. There's chains that claim higher TPS than 10,000. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy claims out there. The finality is what really matters, because
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it is like a silly vanity metric TPS because it is like kind of easily manipulable, right?
Yeah.
It's like what kind of transactions are you even processing? But I was going to give an example of some that just say like ridiculous ones. I think SEI said something like 100,000 or some crazy shit, and there's plenty of others. It's kind of fallen out of fashion as a way to benchmark. So like as Dracula was saying, it's not to finality that's really the one that's most important. It's also the one that's going to be most important for like actually using the network, right?
Yeah, and like 10,000 kind of became especially like this vanity benchmark because Solana were kind of like the first network years back to be like, we can process like this insane amount of TPS. But you still have to look at the finality because I actually use Solana a good bit. And I have all the years I've used Solana, I have never had something faster than, I don't know, 2 seconds. I don't think I've ever had something go through in like 1 second on Solana, right? So to me, it does still come back to that finality is, we're talking about 720 milliseconds. We're talking about like you hit send and it's done. And that's the kind of finality going forward that I think people are going to be more interested in, because that does actually lend itself to like real transaction processing for like real world kind of stuff, right? A chart crime metric. I think we're on the right track. I think it looks good. I don't think we got much to worry about. Going back to Boom, the point I wanted to make about them saying like they're about to announce the Boom winners. And if you're not familiar with the Boom program, it's kind of like similar to what Blast did with Gold. Is, you know, once things get moving, where like we're actually like counting points and stuff for the airdrop, protocols will have gems, you know, like instead of like gold, to give out to protocol users and, you know, for doing certain things or whatever. And that will count towards like points for your airdrop, like how much your allocation is. So to me, the fact that they're already talking about, hey, like we've got our winners for Boom, this to me says like we're on track for December, right? Because why would we start talking about the gems and everything else, right? So Yankee says people will understand time to finality when they send the Binance or another sex and their funds are instantly available. That's right. That's a good point. And I think that's a good point because, you know, we also talk about the Sonic Gateway and like how big that's going to be for people to like know that they can, you know, use like a really secure chain and like native assets to get the Sonic, right? So you already have that. And then once people realize that, you know, they can like seamlessly go in and out of exchanges and stuff, I don't see how you wouldn't at least have a little money on Sonic, you know, if you were like in DeFi, just so you could even at the very minimum, like move stuff around fast, right?
Look, I'm going to tell you this right now. All right. So I started using Fantom, right? And then back in like late 2021, right? And I never went anywhere else because it was so fast. Okay. It was a little bit of a pain in the ass to get in and out. But let me tell you something. Once it's easier to get in and out and it's even faster, why the hell are you going to go anywhere else, dude? They're launching with 60 products ready to go out the gate, man. Look, I'm getting excited just talking about it. I'm getting excited just thinking about it. Having this conversation is getting me bullish again. I was getting a little bearish because we retraced on the day, but now I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, it's like...
What do you think makes Sonic different than something like Solana? Well, one, it's not gay. Two, sorry, just kidding. That's a little immature. No, well, metrics are gonna be better on Sonic. One, right? Like Dracula's saying, the finality is gonna be way quicker. But you know, Drac's an actual builder, so I'll let him say because he's actually played around on Solana a lot more.
Yeah. I mean, I think as we enter kind of like a newer era, speeds and things that are expected. Don't get me wrong, Solana is still very fast, and Solana still has a gigantic user base, and is what, like the number 3 chain for like TVL, whatever. What we're looking at with Sonic is the tech is great, but what we're also looking at is what Corval just mentioned. Is they said at consensus, and it got me fired up. Was like, we are returning to DeFi. We want to be the DeFi chain like we were last run, right? And that's what in the background has been worked on for months. They have blue chips lined up. They have some protocols that, you know, left when volume died coming back. That's not even counting, like Corval said, like, you know, 60 something projects that are basically going to be like ready on day one. So I think what is going to set Sonic apart is, of course, the tech is great, right? But none of that matters if you don't have a reason for people to come to the chain. And I think Solana has a big problem with, because they have like their winners already, there's not really like a lot of great mid to smaller size projects on Solana. It's like you have like your 5 or 6 major projects, and that's all anybody uses. So I think Sonic taking the approach of like, we want to make this like a DeFi playground. I think that is really going to set it apart. I think people have been yearning for like DeFi again, like real DeFi. I think with the bull market on the horizon, I think DeFi is going to make a major comeback. I think meme tokens are still part of the meta. You know, there's a lot of people that are like, you know, on the sidelines, like, you know, you guys are screwed when the music stops on the memes, you know, because DeFi's coming. I don't view it like that at all. Memes will still be a huge part of the market, but DeFi will make a large comeback. And I think for Sonic to have everything lined up that they have, they are making this all about DeFi.
I got a couple things to tag on here. One is this is kind of a simplistic one, but maybe one we forget a lot is that maybe I'm wrong about this. I don't know. Maybe the game's changed since then, but I still think there's a bit of a barrier to getting into Solana if you're participating on other EVM chains, right? On like actual EVM chains as opposed to Solana. Like you got to have a different wallet. The bridging process is a little bit more complicated. And what we're seeing with Sonic, right, the big part of it is the gateway, which just will be seamlessly going in and out. So if you're participating in DeFi, even if you're not doing strictly Sonic DeFi, it's going to be a lot easier and quicker. It's going to be easier and quicker than getting on L2, which is honestly kind of stupid, like crazy. Like, why? I don't know how the hell these geniuses manage to swing that. But getting in and out of Sonic, let's say onto Ethereum, just way quicker. Oh, and then the other catalyst for DeFi that I wanted to mention, because I think Yankee mentioned it up top, was that this one here. Do you think now Gary is going and SEC is going to get a major shakeup? This will kickstart a new era of DeFi as people not worried about getting hunted down by them, which is, I think, a very common and pretty fair assessment of the situation, being that if the SEC has already been shifting tact for a couple months now. I don't know if he's made a public statement, but they've obviously pulled back a little bit on their prosecution of different DeFi products and the like. So one of the things that's always been holding kind of DeFi, and I would say even Ethereum back, this is why I was getting a little hopium on Ethereum's price chart, was that if the SEC becomes a little bit more dovish as opposed to hawkish, they will be less of a threat to, people trying to make money from staking, things like that. One of the big reasons people are kind of big money seems to be afraid to get into Ethereum is like, if I buy Bitcoin, I can hold Bitcoin. It's just that simple. If I buy Ethereum, the real value comes from staking and engaging in decentralized finance, which is of shifty legality. And one thing that we can speculate on, and I'm wrapping it up. One thing we can speculate on is that the new administration is going to take a lighter approach to DeFi. And we can say that because the fucking guy himself has launched a DeFi token. So it'd be a little crazy for him to, I mean, maybe he prosecutes his enemies. I don't know. Maybe because he's got an Aave fork. Maybe he wants to make Aave illegal, but I kind of doubt it. I think he's gonna at least campaign a little bit to get some fair legislation out there so that people can participate more. And if that happens, it's popping off on the DeFi chain, which is Sonic.
Yeah, man. I think that's a great point about maybe why DeFi has still been a bit sidelined. Is there is that like gray area legality that a lot of bigger money institutions, people, whatever, are probably sitting there kind of like waiting to see how this all panned out. I think, like the SEC, I think that the last administration decided at some point they wanted to be hard on crypto. Mm-hmm. And once Trump kind of became like the crypto candidate, all of a sudden everybody's backtracking, softening up a little bit.
Yeah. Kamala famously said that she's going to help African-American men with crypto specifically. So they both sides of the aisle have softened on crypto, but yeah, you could say that the Repubs have been the most friendly.
Well, man, we're coming up on the hour here, so I think we'll wrap up. We had a couple other things to chat about, but we'll get to them next episode, as we always say. I'll probably lose the tab, so you'll never know. But but yeah, thanks everybody for watching. We will be back on Friday, back to normal schedule. I was gone for a few days. Mm-hmm. Orville had to run it solo, but yeah, we're back, normal schedule, all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, we did it. I did it. If you haven't seen it, I talked with, and I had an asset that I prepared. I literally was in the studio and I didn't even do it. I had this. I wanted to play this. Every time I talk about AHA.
Oh man, that's a shame. That was fantastic.
But now we've got it for future purposes. Anytime one of us says something really funny, we need to get a producer in here. If you're a producer and you're willing to work on GMSONIC, reach out, let us know. If you want to run our soundboard, you can hit shit like that for us.
Yeah, if you want to.
Yeah, every time we try to say his name, you can say that. But yeah, check it out. I had fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I listened to it yesterday. It was a good episode. So yeah, OX Sonic Talk for the X streams, GM_Sonic on YouTube. Thanks everybody for watching. Of course, also GMSONIC anywhere you get your podcasts. And we will see you later this week.
We'll see you later, folks. Goodbye.